welcome back. So in the last video, we created a GraphQL API and then connected it to a Lambda function. So in this video, we are going to create a user. I'm going to show you how to create a user using this API and how to create, and the user will be created in a DynamoDB table. Okay, first let's head on to the Lambda function. So right click 1 second. Okay, let's go to Lambda. Okay, so this is the Lambda function. So the first thing we're going to do, this is a standard which you should be following as well. Always log your events. Always log your events. It makes debugging very easy. Okay, so that's number one. Deploy it. Okay. So now let's see what event is coming when I call create user API. Okay, we have to click on mutation, add a mutation. I don't need this now. Create a user. His first name is first name, and last name is last name, and username is dummy@gmail.com. Okay, let's run it. Okay, I have called the Lambda function. Now if everything went right, we should have a log of the event. So let's see how. Now let's monitor that. To do that, you have to go to CloudWatch logs. This is taking a while. Okay, there it is. This is the event. Okay, this is our event. So it says event arguments, and if you scroll down in the info field name, you will say create user. So we have to extract this. So it is going to be event.info.field name. So let's go to the code here. Const operation is equal to event.info. What did it say? Field name. Let's just copy this. Yeah, okay. Now we can do a switch case. So depending on the operation, we perform different functions. Operation, and the first case is going to be create a user. Okay, we have to create a user. Okay, now I'll also have a default. So if none of them apply, if none of the operations are valid, we are going to return invalid operation. So it's a good way. We're gonna remove this. We don't need this anymore. Okay, deploy it. Okay, create user. So now to create a user, we need to connect a DynamoDB table. So for that, let's create a DynamoDB table first. DynamoDB, open link in new. Oh no, yeah. DynamoDB table, create a table. Demo CRUD YouTube. I'm gonna call it that. Enter the partition key name. We're gonna keep it as email. So whenever we call the DynamoDB, let's say we want to get a item from the DynamoDB table, if we pass in the partition key, which happens to be email in this case, we're gonna get back the entire item. Customize setting on demand. I suggest you do that on default. Do not go for provisioned. Create table. Nothing else to change. Sort key, you can leave this empty. Yeah. Okay, you can go ahead and copy this name. While it gets created, we can integrate it here. 1 second. Okay, yeah, this is the one. Okay, now let create user params table name. So you want to specify which table do you want to create a user in. So that is going to be this one. This is the one I just created. And what is the item that you want to create, right? So we want to have user email. Wait 1 second. Okay, so the partition key is just email, so just stick to email. No need an user underscore email. So this is going to be the event, and in the arguments of the event we are going to get user email. Now if you're asking me how I know where to find this, you can just go to CloudWatch logs, and here you go, event arguments input user email. So it's going to be arguments dot input input dot user email. That's the first parameter. Next thing is first name. So this is going to be very similar again. Arguments dot input dot first name. Next is the last name. Event dot arguments dot input dot last name. Okay, so that's all we need for now. Okay, now we have to initialize a DynamoDB client, and now how do you do that? For that we have to import the DynamoDB library. Okay, so I have some code written already. I suggest you just copy this down, and yeah, this is what I usually follow. There are other options as well, but this seems to work, so you can stick to it. Yeah, okay, so now we have imported the DynamoDB table. We have imported doc client. Our doc client is something that creates commands to send to the DynamoDB table. Okay, so we have the create user params. Now we have to call a await function, because it's going to take time. It's an asynchronous function, so we're going to await create user, and we are going to pass in create user params. Okay, we can return done. So that's one thing. Now we have to create the create user function. Let's go over here. Now I'm someone who uses arrow functions. You can do it the other way as well. Async what I'm going to pass in, my bad. Yeah, so that's how you create an arrow function. Now in this we have to first create the command. Okay, so let command is equal to, just a second, yeah, we have to create a new ddb dot put command. This is just convention, there's no really thinking about it. You have to go through the documentation if you want to figure this out on your own. I suggest that you learn to read documents, because it is going to help you very much, because most of the things you need are in the documentation provided by Amazon. Okay, so data will await the doc client, and it is sending the command, which is a put command, and the put command has params which we passed in. Okay, and then we return data. That's about it. This should work now. So okay, let's always put a try block. This is a good method too. This is good practice. Makes debugging easier, and it's also best practice. return throw new error err. That should do it. This should create the user. I don't think I've missed anything. Let's just test it out and see what happens. Yeah, let me just expand this in case you're not able to see. Yeah, I think this is better. Okay, so this is the code, and then create user function case. We create params, pass it into the create user function, and this creates a command and passes that command onto the DynamoDB table. Okay, so let's test this, deploy this. So what we should see now is a new item being created here when I call this Appsync API. Let's do that. Put command is not a constructor. Okay, so I don't know where's the error coming from. Okay, I did configure the error. It was a very silly error. I've used the spelling of command is wrong. There are 3 M's. It should just be 2 of them. So that's it. That should solve the issue. Now let's try this again. Access denied. Hold on. Yeah, if you have the same issue as this, I suggest you do it in your root user account. I'm not doing it in my root user account. I'm doing it in my IAM user account. So that's the issue. So don't do that. Do it in your root user account. I will explain this in a later video. It's a different concept altogether. It should work now. Yeah, create user is done. So now if you refresh this, there you go. We have the user dummy@gmail.com, first name, last name, and that's the exact same details we passed in our API. So that's about it. You successfully created a user in a DynamoDB table using an Appsync API.